Hat, sunglasses, Pepsi, notes, sources, thick skin, check. You already know. Let's go. Welcome to Golden Blue today, everybody. This is a college football channel. So if you like college football, hit the like and subscribe button. It's that simple. Also, send gear to represent your team and be a part of my background forever. All you have to do is send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. Well, it does look indeed like it's the end of an era for West Virginia. Not a very good era, but nonetheless, the end of an era. All signs are pointing that Neal Brown will be fired after the Oklahoma State game to end the regular season. The buyout will drop. Of course, they'll probably try to negotiate it to drop it even further. But it looks like Neal Brown is headed out of West Virginia, and it has been a rough tenure for him at West Virginia. 4 years at West Virginia. First year in 2019 went 5-7, no bowl. But it's a rebuilding year, right? 2020 looked great. It looked like we were on the up and up. We finished 6-4 with the Liberty Bowl win over Army. It looked like West Virginia was headed in the right direction. But 6-4, does that warrant a contract extension and a huge buyout? I don't think so. But that's exactly what Shane Lyons did. 2021, we took a slight step back. We went 6-7, went to Guaranteed Rate Bowl, and got absolutely annihilated by Minnesota. Don't let the final score fool you. Minnesota absolutely blasted West Virginia. Then this year, we took another big step backwards. 2022, 4-7. We are not going to a bowl. This year has been super rough. Started off with the backyard brawl on the road to number 17 Pitt, which I went to, lost 38-31, came down to some poor coaching decisions and drop balls by the wide receivers. Had multiple opportunities to win that game and multiple opportunities to put it away. But Neal Brown's analytics kept him from making crucial decisions, and we lost the backyard brawl. Next game, Kansas lost in overtime, 55-42. Kansas is a much better team, but West Virginia should have won that football game. That was a sign of things to come. We didn't win 2 games in a row against FCS Towson, 65-7, and then at Virginia Tech, 33-10. Virginia Tech very bad this year. After that, on the road to Texas, we lose 38-20, and I jumped off the Neal Brown bandwagon at halftime. We were down 28-7. That was the moment in time where I jumped off the bandwagon. After that, we came back home and somehow beat Baylor because Baylor made enough mistakes and the ball bounced our way. 43-40 was the final score. Then we go on the road to Texas Tech and lose 48-10. Absolutely got humiliated. Came back home, played number 7 TCU tough, but of course lost that game as well, 41-31. At Iowa State, didn't even show up really. Lost that game 31-14. Come back home, beat Oklahoma 23-20. And then this past week, number 15 Kansas State. They basically destroyed West Virginia 48-31. And then the final game will be at Oklahoma State. This has been a rough season and a rough ending to a rough coaching tenure. West Virginia did not crack the top 25 once under Neal Brown. Let that sink in. We didn't crack the top 25 one time under Neal Brown. West Virginia is 9th in the Big 12, only ahead of Iowa State, who beat West Virginia. West Virginia is 2-6 in the Big 12, so really the only reason why West Virginia is not in last place is because we beat Baylor and Oklahoma. We have 2 wins in the Big 12, and Iowa State only has 1. So if West Virginia gets beat by Oklahoma State and Iowa State can somehow upset TCU, West Virginia would finish last in the Big 12. Last. But even if that doesn't happen, we're second to last. On the year, we're scoring 31.2 points per game, which is 48. So our offense is much better than what it was last year. We made some good off-season decisions when it comes to offense. Brought in offensive coordinator Graham Harrell, who attracted transfer JT Daniels. Offense looked much better. Now, it's slid over the past 4 games, but overall, we do have a better offense than last year. But our defense, what happened? We're allowing 34.2 points per game, which is 119th. One of the biggest problems is we went out and went really small on defense. And I know it also comes down to tackling and technique and coaching, but man, our defense is one of the smallest defenses in all of FBS football. We look like an FCS defense as far as size. That really hurt West Virginia when it comes to defense in 2022. And of course, players are hitting the transfer portal. We already know that Mumu Benwahad, he's entered the transfer portal. Charles Woods, our starting quarterback, he's entered the transfer portal. Rumors were running rampant about CJ Donaldson hitting the transfer portal. He removed a lot of West Virginia from his social media platforms, but has since put all his West Virginia tags back on his social media platforms. Hopefully he stays because, man, he was a bright spot in a dark 2022 season. And we also heard that Rodney Gallagher, highest rated recruit since Tavon Austin, committed to West Virginia, is now visiting Penn State. So he could be changing his mind as well. And what about the signs that are actually pointing to Neal Brown being fired? Well, according to sources that are close to the situation, people that usually know something are being shut out, and they are all trying to get a morsel of information. The circle has tightened so much that only a few people know. That means something is definitely going going down. People that are usually free with their information are keeping it close to their vest, and this does point to something big happening or about to happen in Morgantown. But it goes beyond that. Words from the coach himself, Neal Brown. Here's what Neal Brown had to say about the situation. I'm being upfront with the players. We'll deal with it when it comes. There's nothing we can do about it, right? So we're going to focus on this game and this week. Neal Brown knows what's coming. The players also know what's coming, but they want to focus on the game at hand and at least try to finish strong. Neal Brown knows he's on the way out. Players know he's on the way out. And remember, West Virginia has already fired Shane Lyons, so that's one hurdle that West Virginia got rid of. Listen, he's a good guy. He just wasn't a good fit for West Virginia. I went to bat for him multiple times. I thought West Virginia could finish as high as 9-3 this year, and that turned out to be a joke of a prediction. That was because of our defense, and our defense has been what kept us in football games that we shouldn't have been in the past couple of years. So we finally get an offense, and our defense falls off. He just can't seem to put it together at West Virginia. I wish him nothing but the best. I think he'll go on and have great success at the Group of 5 level. He's going to make a lot of money, and he's going to live a good life. He just wasn't a good fit at West Virginia. Now, rumors are flying rampant as far as who could replace Neal Brown as the head coach for West Virginia. And one thing that a lot of people have looked into is the flight patterns coming in and out of the Morgantown airport. Now, the usual flights coming in and out, Washington, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, the normal flights, no big deal about that. But there's some flights from Austin and College Station that really don't match what usually comes into the Morgantown airport. If you look at the flight plan, you see several flights coming in from Austin, and some of those flights from Austin also came from College Station. These are private jets with no airline logo. These are planes that coaches or high-level personnel use. It really makes you raise an eyebrow right there. So there's 3 prospects that could be coming out of the state of Texas as far as flying into Morgantown to interview for the new head coaching vacancy whenever Neal Brown will be fired at the end of this season. So it is happening, people. Neal Brown will be fired. The first candidate is Jimbo Fisher. Of course, in an interview, he said home is home. You never can count that out. He likes where he's at Texas A&M. He's making a lot of money, but home is home. Never say never. I would say no to Jimbo Fisher. Here's what his coaching career has looked like. At Florida State, he was there for 8 years, 83-23, not a bad record, 1 national championship, including a 10-4, 9-4, 12-2, 14-0, 13-1, 10-3, 10-3, and 5-6 seasons. But he left Florida State in shambles, and Florida State still trying to recover. And it looks like Florida State is recovering this year. They're ranked in the top 15, and they're going to go to a pretty good bowl. Then he flies off to Texas A&M, where he's been there for 5 years. Overall, 38-21. Once again, not a bad record, including records of 9-4, 8-5, 9-1, 8-4, and 4-7. At a place like Texas A&M, where he has as much money as he has, and the recruiting is as high as it is, that's not very good. And this year, Texas A&M will miss a bowl. The question is, can Texas A&M afford this buyout? Right now, his buyout is $85.95 million. Basically, a guaranteed contract. Every year, it does go down because he's paid for that year, but that's still a massive buyout. So I would say no to Jimbo Fisher, and I'm not sure if Texas A&M is willing to eat that buyout just yet. The second candidate that could be coming out of the state of Texas is Gary Patterson. I would say yes to Gary Patterson. 22 years at TCU, overall 181-79, so a pretty good record. He brought TCU from the Group of 5 status up to the Big 12 and had a lot of success in the Big 12 at TCU. But you do have to look at his last 4 seasons, where they went 7-6, 5-7, 6-4, and 3-5. So they did fall off a little bit, but I do trust Gary Patterson, and I do think he would recruit at a high level for West Virginia. This year, he's the current defensive coordinator for Texas. They're allowing 20.6 points per game, which is 30th. And what do you know? West Virginia needs somebody that knows something about defense. I think Gary Patterson would be a perfect hire for West Virginia. Then there's the last candidate, Tom Herman. I would give a big yes. A lot of West Virginia fans don't like that name, and I don't understand why. In his 2 years at Houston, he went 22-4, including a 13-1 and a 9-3 season. Then he goes on over to Texas. In 4 years, he went 7-6, then 10-4, then 8-5, then 7-3, including 1 Big 12 title. The dude is a winner, and the dude knows how to recruit. He wasn't fired because of the lack of success. He wasn't fired because he didn't get along with the players or the fans or any of the other stuff. It's just because he didn't get along with the big-time boosters at Texas. People have got to realize the boosters at Texas, they call the shots. So if you don't get along with the boosters, you're gonna be fired. West Virginia doesn't have those big-time boosters that pay for everything. They do have boosters, but not the boosters like Texas has. So I think Tom Herman would be a perfect fit for West Virginia. I'm hoping that's a sign that Tom Herman is coming to Morgantown. That would be an awesome hire for West Virginia. But I'd also be okay with Gary Patterson, not with Jimbo Fisher. So y'all let me know in the comments section, how confident are you that West Virginia is indeed firing Neal Brown? And do you think that all these signs pointing to somebody coming out of the state of Texas could mean that we could get either a Gary Patterson or a Tom Herman, not Jimbo Fisher? That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.